Good morning, all. It's 9 o'clock right on the dot, I believe. I can't see the clock, but I'm the fill-in for now. Our assistant chair is stuck on the road somewhere with car trouble, so they got me. I was the last commissioner standing in the front, so that's what it is for now. All right, so welcome, all of you. This is our December meeting, and the first time we met since, was it March of
2020?
2020 in person, so it's like meeting all new friends, and we've seen them on Zoom, but in person is a little bit different story. I know that Chair Desmond has been after not canceling the Zoom meetings and coming face to face, and I was probably the most resistant because I live in Fallbrook. It was really nice just to walk to my office in my house, but I can see the value certainly in being, if nothing else, to see the camaraderie, and I'm grateful for all of those that have served. We're going to be talking about 3 of our commissioners that have served and are going off to greener pastures, I guess, or somewhere besides LAFCO, but with bittersweet. So with that, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll do a roll call vote, and that roll call, please.
Yes. Commissioner Salas is absent. Commissioner Desmond is absent. Commissioner Anderson?
Here.
Commissioner Cates?
Here.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Here.
Commissioner Willis?
Here.
Commissioner Vanderlyn?
Present.
Commissioner McNamara is absent. Alternate Commissioner Becker?
Present.
Alternate Commissioner Vargas?
Present.
Absent.
Alternate Commissioner Vargas.
Alternate Commissioner Van Wilpert is absent. Alternate Commissioner Drake?
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Mathis?
Present.
Alternate Commissioner Becker will vote in place of Commissioner Salas, who is absent. There is a quorum with 6 members present. So and so.
Okay, thank you. We will now have the salute to the flag. Chris, would you do that for us, please?
Please stand, face the flag, right hand over your hearts, and begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Okay, well, now we read the agenda, and there are any items on the agenda that need to be pulled.
Thank you, Commissioner Vanderlyn. So, yes, somewhat, and let me explain. First of all, Keith Simons, Executive Officer for the record, and it is nice to see everyone in the room, given it has been some time. So, commissioners and the public, you should have an amended agenda that LAFCO staff issued towards the end of last week, and that involves the addition of 7C to the business calendar. And when the time is right, Carol will give the staff report on that. We do have another adjustment for the commission to take up today. It's a bit of a hybrid, and that is with respect to 7A, and that's the Pastrana Artesian Road change of organization. We received some late correspondence on that, which means we ultimately want you to introduce the item, allow for anyone who's taken time out of their day to comment on it, but then to continue the item. And I'll give an explanation as to why we would like you to continue the item. Now, that said, a couple of housekeeping items. If you are with us today in room 302, you are certainly welcome to provide testimony on any items, including open time. We just ask that up on the desk there are some speaker slips. If you fill that out and you hand it off to Do with his hand up, thank you, sir, he will make sure that they make their way to Commissioner Vanderlyn. And then if you are participating in today's meeting remotely, whether you're on the Zoom app, whether you're watching on YouTube, you may also provide testimony in real time to the commission as items come up. Please refer to our agenda face sheet for the instructions, and I believe there's also some more detailed instructions if you take a look at the LAFCO home page. And just for the benefit of some additional acknowledgements, Commissioner Salas unfortunately had a family emergency, so she will not be with us today. Commissioner Desmond, despite wanting to meet in person, actually is not here on vacation. Good for Chair Desmond. And then last but not least, Vice Chair Paul McNamara had some car problems and presumably is a AAA call away from safety. But in the interim, I do want to thank our immediate past chair, Commissioner Vandalin, for stepping up or making eye contact and agreeing to proceed with overseeing today's meeting. So all that said, we are good to go with the addition that we will have a spin on 7A when the time is right. But thank you.
We have a speaker, not on the agenda. We did that.
Correct. So we do have a couple of speakers for public comment, but that will be the next item. So Commissioner Vanderlyn, if you just want to check in with the rest of the commission, if they have any requests to take things out of order. If not, I think we can go forward.
Okay, thank you, Keene. Any commissioner comments on the agenda?
I would not agenda comment, but
Okay,
general comment.
general comment.
I can wait.
Can do that now.
Let's hear it.
Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to take this opportunity, as this is my last meeting, to thank Keene and the entire staff for all of your work. I've really enjoyed serving on LAFCO, first as an alternate, now as a main member, and appreciate the hard work that goes into the work that you do each and every day. It's not glamorous work by any means, but appreciate it nonetheless, and wish everyone the best of luck as you move forward. A lot of big decisions ahead of you in the coming years. So again, thanks so much for the opportunity to be on this board, and appreciate all the hard work that the entire group has put forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. We'd like to send some well wishes to you as well. Thank you for serving.
And Commissioner Vanderlyn, we will have some formal thoughts on our commissioners who are leaving us later today. But thank you again, Commissioner Kate. So with that, I think we can go on to Commissioner Vanderlyn to public comment. And I'll just advise that this is a twofer. This is the opportunity for anyone from the public to address the commission on an item that is not on the agenda, but certainly relevant to the world of LAFCO. And then separately, if there are any members of the public here or virtually who would like a consent item pulled, this is also the time to provide that testimony. And Commissioner Vanderlyn, I believe you have a couple of comment request forms.
Okay, so if anyone else has a public comment not associated with today's agenda, still time to fill out a speaker slip. So far we have Diane Hansen. Is Diane here?
Yeah,
Thank you. Please step to the microphone.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to address this group. I am here today because I'm a little frustrated by how we at Palomar Health have been portrayed. I'm Diane Hansen, President and CEO for Palomar Health, and we take our mission to heal, comfort, and promote health in the communities we serve incredibly seriously. And I think there's been a lot of misinformation, and I'd like to just address this group and clear up a few items today. The health clinics came to us because they had a serious concern about the welfare of their patients. Vista had heard that we were restructuring our program to meet our own coverage needs. So we had a dwindling group of physicians and providers for our OB program, and we were looking to restructure. Vista had had some challenges with their program. They knew it wasn't sustainable based on the amount of money they were having to invest. And they made several attempts to work through with Tri-City a new program, a new way to do, to provide the coverage that was needed for their deliveries. Unfortunately, they couldn't come to a resolution. So when they heard about us restructuring our program, they came to us and said, hey, can we be a part of this program? So I want to make that clear that they came to us and we were seeking to help them provide coverage for their patients, which again is an emergency when you're concerned about your patients delivering a baby and not having someone to take care of them. even after Vista signed with us, Tri-City had 10 months before True Care signed with us to create an agreement and a program that was sustainable for True Care as well. So I want to make sure that you understand that this wasn't, again, us going out to seek patients in someone else's district. They came to us because they were concerned about their programs. I do think what's important to remember is that we are very different than any other district, right? We're a healthcare district. Our patients can go anywhere. And just because we have a contract in place doesn't mean that decides where the patients go. The only thing the contracts did was give us an ability to know that these two organizations were committing to us in some way, so that when we invested the additional $2 million that we invested in order to make sure that we had enough providers to take care of their patients, that's the only thing that did. It gave us their word that said, look, you're going to staff up, you are going to bring on the additional coverage that's needed. We had been in the unfortunate circumstance previously around behavioral health where we were inundated with behavioral health patients in our ED to the point that we were so overwhelmed we weren't sure how we were going to care for them. We were simply trying to make sure that we were not placed in that position again. So I want this group to know I appreciate the Commission's attention to this. I appreciate your concern. You obviously care very deeply about the communities that we serve, and so do we. And we're simply trying to do our best to make sure that those patients have the coverage they need. Again, the patients that are coming to us, they could just as easily go to Tri-City, they could go to UCSD, they can go to Sharp, they can go anywhere they want. Their insurance dictates what programs are available under in which coverage, but we don't dictate where those patients go. So I just want to say thank you to Mr. Simmons for taking the time. It was a significant investment of his time to vet through this issue. He met with us on several occasions, he met with the clinics, and he also met with Tri-City. So I just want to say thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak out, and thank you to this commission for your consideration.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for the speaker? Okay, our next speaker is Dr. Jean Ma from Tri-City. Did I pronounce that right, correctly?
That's correct. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, LAFCO commissioners and staff. My name is Dr. Jean Ma, and I have the privilege of serving my community as an emergency physician for over 2 decades and as the Chief Medical Officer at Tri-City Medical Center. On October the 3rd, this board was made aware that a decision to grant Palomar Health rights to operate outside its district boundaries were predicated solely on the declaration that a public health emergency existed. Unfortunately, what became eminently clear during the course of the meeting was that the executive officer acted based on misrepresentation of facts presented to him. Speakers brought to voice support of Palomar's request even admittedly acknowledged that not only was their decision driven by financial motives, but that no safety or public health crisis existed. The board voted unanimously to have the executive officer return with a decision in 60 days, which I viewed as a clear indication that the committee members definitively recognized the difficult position the executive officer had been placed in and an opportunity to right a wrong. I want to thank Executive Officer Keene for having a designee reach out to meet with us last week, and we are hopeful that the discussion will prove productive. In that time, we reiterated a few key points. Number one, there is no basis for the declaration of a crisis that would meet any remote standard for a public health crisis or emergency. Not based on the facts, not according to Section 319 of the Public Health Services Act, and not by the judgment of local public health officials and experts, including letters submitted following the last meeting. Number two, why is LAFCO and its executive officer being placed in the unenviable position of determining what constitutes a public health crisis or emergency? 3, there has not been one day that Tri-City has been unable to provide comprehensive maternal child services, including anesthesia, labor and delivery, and neonatal intensive care services. 4, LAFCO should consider consequences for entities under its jurisdiction who circumvent the application process, cloaked under the disguise of a public health emergency, rather than reward such actions. 5, Tri-City has provided a resolution that protects the integrity of LAFCO regulations and respects district boundaries, provides choice to district constituents, and preserves the financial models that the community clinics seek. 6, failure to act quickly or reconsider the prior decision will have a significant implication on access to maternal care in North County in the near future and will jeopardize the health and safety of laboring mothers. In closing, I'll say that as an ER doctor, we need a resolution and a resolution very soon. Each day of delay puts another mother or newborn at risk. I am optimistic that the executive officer will recommend very shortly that as a result of clear and substantial evidence to the contrary, no public health emergency exists or existed, and the equitable solution submitted by Tri-City should be adopted as a pathway towards resolution. Thank you for allowing me to share my concerns.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Ma? Okay, thank you. Tammy, would you check and see if there is any other public comments?
None, Chair.
None? Okay.
And just given our new hybrid age, Michaela, any email comments for open time? Okay. You're good.
Okay. All right, so we're at item number 5, consent items on the agenda. Are there any questions or comments on the consent calendar?
You need
Sorry.
a motion?
I'm sorry.
Do you need a motion to accept?
Yes, a motion would be in order
Second.
to accept them as presented. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Kate. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing or seeing none, those in favor, well, roll call vote, I guess, right? Roll call vote, Tammy?
Commissioner Desmond is absent. Commissioner Vanderland,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Kate,
Yes.
Commissioner McNamara is absent. Commissioner McKenzie,
Aye.
Commissioner Willis,
Aye.
Commissioner Salas is absent. Alternate Commissioner Becker.
Yes.
We have 6 in favor, 0 opposed, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you. We have now a public hearing, item number 6.
Thank you, Commissioner Vanderland. So I'm going to ask Priscilla Mumpower to provide the staff presentation.
And while she makes her way up here, this is the time for any of the commissioners to disclose any ex parte communications they may have had about this item.
Thank you, Holly. Any commissioners need to make a comment here? No? Okay, thank you. Go ahead then.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners and guests. Priscilla Mumpower, analyst with San Diego LAFCO. So this public hearing item before the commission is as part of the 5-year study requirement under statute to bring forward proposed sphere of influence updates every 5 years. And today we bring forward updates for 3 local agencies under LAFCO oversight and within the Escondido region. The 3 local agencies are Deer Springs Fire Protection District, Rincon Municipal Water District, and the City of Escondido. They collectively serve 160,000 residents, which is about 5% of the countywide total. Now, Dew's going to bring up a PowerPoint up on the screen for me. And it will, the first slide will show a physical showing of the 3 agencies' existing boundaries, as well as their spheres of influence. So the first being Deer Springs Fire Protection District, which is shown in red on the screen. And then we have Rincon Municipal Water District, which is shown in blue, which overlaps mostly the City of Escondido, which is separately shown in yellow. So I will, now as the commission knows, but for the benefit of our guests, the spheres serve as LAFCO's living policy in demarking what it independently believes are the current and future jurisdictional boundaries or service areas for these agencies. Importantly, cities and special districts can only request LAFCO approval to annex and or provide outside services outside of their sphere with limited exceptions. And so I'll briefly dive into each of the agency's spheres. On the next slide, we'll begin with Deer Springs Fire Protection District. The sphere was established in 1979. It currently spans about 20,000 acres. The sphere is smaller than its jurisdictional boundary, so you'll notice that there are about 8,000 acres that lie outside. This is on the western edge, which includes San Marcos Mountains, which is just south of the Vista Valley Country Club. And then we also have on the southern end, which overlaps the city of Escondido, or its sphere rather, the Jessamine Dean community and the Northridge communities. On the following slide, we have Rincon Municipal Water District. Their sphere was established by LAFCO in 1985. It currently spans about 28,000 acres and includes 939 non-jurisdictional acres, with the majority near Lake Wolford. This district also has a secondary sphere, which was established in 2018 in step with also approving the Harmony Grove Village site and activating its wastewater function. So this is shown in purple on the screen. The crosshatched is what is activated. This also includes 2 special study areas, which is what's outlined in purple but not crosshatched. And that involves the Valiano and Harmony Grove South development projects. Now the green on the screen is Improvement District E, which is specific to the district's fire protection and emergency medical service functions. Now, as the commission will recall, we recently completed at the November meeting a comprehensive review of the 3 local agencies as part of a 2-part municipal service review. And in drawing from this informing document, staff returns today with 3 recommendations on the 3 distinct agencies. And so proceeding with the sphere updates for the 3 agencies would satisfy the reference requirement to update it over the next 60 months. And so the first recommendation applies to both Deer Springs Fire Protection District and Rincon Del Diablo Municipal Water District, and should be shown on the following slide. Maybe not. Maybe we can go back there. Maybe we can go back a couple slides. Thank you. So the first recommendation applies to both Deer Springs Fire Protection District and Rincon Municipal Water District. This involves affirming both agencies' existing spheres and purposely maintaining the baseline expectations on possible annexations or out-of-agency services being provided over the next 5-year period. This will allow time for us to proceed forward with additional analysis. So as you'll recall, in the municipal service review approved in November, there was a recommendation to proceed forward with a governance study on 2 of the agencies, City of Escondido and Rincon Municipal Water District. But then further, there is also a comprehensive review of fire protection services that will also take place in the near future. And so this will allow time to proceed forward with those 2. Now, the remaining 2 recommendations are specific to the City of Escondido and are shown on the on one of our slides here, this one here. And there's 2 recommendations, the first being a proposed reduction, and then 2 areas that we propose to be part of special study areas. So this first one, as we zoom in, commissioners will recall that we were going to proceed forward with reducing the area on the northern edge shown in red, which is about 1,000 acres, and this would allow the sphere to better align with geographic markers as well as road markers. The second recommendation on the following slide is specific to special study areas, and this is for Daly Ranch as well as the Harvest Hill site. The Daly Ranch site is on the northern portion, or northeast portion, and is about 128 acres in size, while the portion on the east, more southern portion, is about 1,300 acres in size. Commissioners will also recall that in establishing the Harvest Hill site, there was a lot of community concern with respect to fire risks and evacuation controls. And so for this reason and the MSR, that staff has suggested that any transition to approve the special study areas or any formal sphere amendments would be conditioned on requiring additional analysis on these very topics. And so we went ahead and published our resolution and our agenda, and this was omitted from the first draft, but this has now been rectified and is shown in red within the resolution where we address this. And so before ending my presentation, I do want to recognize the following public members and organizations who submitted formal written comments. And these are Philip Launder, Leslie Honda, Dan Silver, Patricia Borchman, Laura Hunter, Pamela Hetherington, Victoria Tenbrink, Ron Asplund, Diane Nygaard, Kevin Kearney, and then the following two organizations being Friends of Rose Creek and the Sierra Club North County Group. We also received two subsequent comments over the weekend, and those being from Margot Lowe and Joanne Tenney. So with that, Commission, I end my presentation and am available to take comments or questions, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Priscilla. And before we hand it back to Commissioner Vanderlyn, I just wanted to hone in on a couple of comments. One is about the comments. So all of the testimony or comments that we received in writing before Friday was then, or up to midday Friday, was posted online, and then an email was sent to the commission advising of those comments received. As Priscilla mentioned, we received a handful of comments after Friday. Those comment letters should all be provided to the commission on the dais as supplements, and we will go ahead and post them to the website after the meeting concludes. There was one additional written comment that Priscilla did not mention, a comment from Hanny Wong, who happens to be in attendance today, and I believe will also want to speak to the commission on this. I just want to go back now to the substantive policy question that we're asking the commission today. And that is, as part of this 5-year check-in process, your duty by way of the legislature is to decide what, if any, changes to the sphere of influence make sense with respect to how you see the appropriate orderly growth and development of these three agencies relative to needs. And you decide that independently. As Priscilla has laid out in her report and in her presentation, we believe that the baseline for two of the three, Deer Springs Fire Protection District and Rincon del Diablo Municipal Water District, should be affirmed, meaning that we think the baseline conditions should hold for at least the next 60 months. So if anyone is already in their sphere of influence, they can certainly proceed with a formal application to annex over the next 60 months. However, the flip of the coin is also true. So if we proceed with the affirmation of these two district spheres and anyone is outside the sphere, well, if they come forward with a application to LAFCO to annex, well, the threshold is rather high for us to proceed. Either we would have to make under policy a determination that the requested change is de minimis and doesn't require a full new municipal service review, or, and this is the big or, a brand new MSR would be required. So that's the policy threshold here. With respect to the city of Escondido, with the exception of the smoothing, right, the smoothing of the line on the northern boundary, we also think that the baseline should stay the same. However, and per our practice at this commission, we see these two areas, Daly Ranch and Harvest Hills, as being merited to be established as a special study area. And what does that mean, Commission? That means that if the proponents of these development projects go through the City of Escondido planning process, and the proponents in the city see fit to bring you a formal application to annex these areas in, that you will accept the processing of the proposals without a brand new MSR. It doesn't mean that you're signing off and it's a green light that you're gonna approve an annexation. What you're doing is allowing the proponents to continue to work with the City of Escondido, and if they decide to come forward with an actual proposal over the next 60 months, you will simply not require a brand new municipal service review to be prepared as part of your administrative review. So I know, Commissioner Maryland, you have perhaps some comments, both here in the room, and then we can check in with Tammy to see if there's any comments that will be made remotely. But as Priscilla said, we are here to answer any questions as the commission sees fit.
Okay. Do any commissioners have any questions right now? By the way, Priscilla, thank you very much. Very good presentation. We appreciate it. Barry.
Keen, I don't see any recommendation of action here, so what are we doing? I'm sorry.
So the recommended action, alternative one, which I believe is in the staff report, is to adopt the draft resolution that is before you. That is a threefer. It would affirm the spheres for Deer Park and Rincon. It would then also adjust the sphere for Escondido to take out the 1,000 acres or so on the northern end, as well as establish these two study areas. And then I think the key issue, and if we could go back to the map that Priscilla has that shows the changes to the Escondido sphere, because that's the big topic for the commission today. So the area in red, if you go forward with the staff recommendation, comes out of the sphere, and the areas in green are established as study areas, special study areas.
I guess what I'm asking is, what page is the actual recommendation?
It's page 99 of the PDF.
99, thank you. I'm missing something. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Sure. I think I'm too near the speaker. I had a question about the phrase Daly Ranch. Because Daly Ranch actually refers to an area that's owned by the California Land Trust, as I remember. But it's actually properties adjacent to it. So I've been confused about the naming convention that's used. What's going on there?
Understandable confusion. So the area is under the co-planning of the Sager Ranch Partners and Jim Whalen Associates. It has used two terms, Sager Ranch and Daly Ranch. I know we have the community development director in Escondido who might be willing to provide a little more clarity, although he's only been on the job for a month, so I'm putting him in a bit of a spot. But Commissioner Drake, you are correct. The term Daly Ranch is known more for an existing open space. That said, I think the good people at Sager Ranch and Jim Whalen Associates like the name and are associating it with their project. That would be how I would respond.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So this is really Sager Ranch or Jim Whalen's project,
Yes.
because we had this conversation.
Any other commissioner comments? Okay, we do have one registered speaker. So,
Yes. So, Hanny Wong.
Annie Wong. Sorry.
Apologies, Hanny.
That's all right. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, and LAFCO staff. Happy holidays as well. My name is Haney Hong. I'm the President and CEO of the San Diego County Taxpayers Association. I'm trying to stand in the right spot. So you know the ceiling. This is the San Diego County Taxpayers Association. For those who are not familiar with who we are, we're a nonpartisan, nonprofit association of individuals, businesses, and organizations around town. What do we look for? Optimal returns on taxpayer investment. And we're neither anti-tax nor pro-tax. We're the fact finders. We're the ones that are nonpartisan. We use analysis to drive our research and advocacy. And we are here standing up for the day-to-day taxpayer, right? The day-to-day taxpayer who is asked to part with some money to support all of our shared public goals. So that's who I represent as the President and Chief Executive Officer of the San Diego County Taxpayers Association. I'm here today to talk on this item and to suggest that you support the staff recommendation on this item. And we want to acknowledge that with all the public comment, there are significant risks with development, and there are always risks with development. I think as your executive officer noted, right, you are making a choice on future orderly development and kind of how you envision orderly development. And I want to highlight that in our region, one of the biggest challenges we face as taxpayers is the cost of living driven by how expensive housing is. And our ability to continue to build housing helps address this affordability challenge. I also want to point out, because this is something that we look at, the city of Escondido does faces a structural deficit, and it is chronic. And so by supporting this staff recommendation, you do make it easier potentially in the future if the city of Escondido were to annex this and expand their tax base, that could help them address that structural deficit. So again, I'm here to comment and suggest that, encourage you to support the staff recommendation on this item. Thank you.
Any questions by the commission or the speaker? No? Are there any other people in the audience that choose to speak on this item? Do we have any other online, Tammy?
Yes, we have a Laura Hunter.
Go ahead, Laura.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I'm Laura Hunter, representing Sierra Club North County Group, and I'm speaking in opposition to the special study area for Harvest Hills and request that it be removed. There is no reason to give a special study area to Harvest Hills. It's unmerited, it's unwarranted, and does indeed allow a project to go earlier than the normal process. This is not a project on the brink of ready. It's been 20 years since the unanimous rejection of a project very much like this by the Escondido Planning Commission. In 5 years, they have not been able to return a final EIR. It's been 5 years since they said, oh yeah, we're gonna be voting on that. Well, no, they can't do it because the issues related to the project are insurmountable. The special study area amounts to, frankly, a developer giveaway by LAFCO that they will probably try to monetize or use to pretend the project is viable when it's not. Removal of the special study area does not infringe on their rights or their ability to bring a project forward. If they can get it through, they can keep working with Escondido. They can follow the normal process. But analysis after analysis demonstrates that the fire risks and threats in particular are untenable and unmitigable. They threaten residents of the region. They threaten the globally significant safari park, which is significant in terms of endangered species and an economic generator for the region. I take the sprawl development pattern, and I wish I could put a slide up so you could see it. These kinds of developments do not pay. They are a financial drain on the city. And so Escondido has problems now. They're gonna have bigger problems if they move forward with a single family home zoning sprawl development located far from existing infrastructure. This project is nothing more than a result of wishful thinking and pure speculation on the part of a developer trying to turn a low-density area in the county into a high-density development under another city. As Diane Jacob from the dais rightly called it, she called it right. She said this is nothing more than classic jurisdictional density shopping. She's absolutely right. That's exactly what it is. Please do not reward this kind of non-planning through speculation. We urge you to safeguard our region and remove the special study area for Harvest Hills. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, full disclosure, David Drake here. I was on the planning commission in the 1990s when the Harvest Hill project was known as Valley View Estates, as owned by Joe Crowder. Joe tried every way he could to develop that property, but realized it was extremely difficult. It became Sierra Highlands, it became Harvest Hills. What I worry about, it's gonna become flaming fields. The area is incredibly difficult to support. And as just pointed out, in the MSR that LAFCO did, every new development in Escondido is negative money. So we might have Mr. Hahn, who's aspiring to think we'll make money at it, well, we don't. And until Escondido changes some policies about how it manages development, it has a negative impact on the city. Just wanted to express my concern and history on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
There's a Don Underwood, but I'm not sure if you want to speak or not.
No. So, any other speakers?
Maybe what do you have?
No others.
He did raise his hand.
Oh,
Yeah, can you hear me?
go ahead, Don.
Yeah, hi, this is Don Underwood. LAFCO commissioners and staff, thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. We've been working, as Laura mentioned, for years on this project, and it does have some challenges. We've worked earnestly to resolve those challenges. We continue to do so. And you won't see this project until we have resolved it. But we've been doing this for 40 years as a company. We don't work on projects we don't think we can bring responsibly to the table, and this is one we really believe we can. And we're working earnestly to do so. With respect to this property being a part of the sphere of influence, this is a property that Escondido has envisioned being part of its boundaries for decades. It's a part of the city of Escondido's general plan. It's part of an approved specific planning area in the city of Escondido, specific planning area 4, at a density that matches exactly what we proposed. That general plan, can you hear me?
Yes.
That general plan was reaffirmed by the council when it was updated in 2012. Also reaffirmed by the voters of the city of Escondido at that time, which specifically again includes this property. We aren't here, trying to present the project on its merits. We won't do that until we resolve the issues. But in terms of the municipal services review, we aren't trying to fast track. We aren't trying to skip steps. We've worked for years. In fact, the municipal services review you're considering is one that we paid for and developed in conjunction with the city of Escondido, and it considers all of our projects' impacts. And so we're not trying to fast track or skip ahead. We're just trying to follow the process that I think Laura Hunter suggested we should, and we have. And so, we're very much in favor of the resolution as it's been proposed.
I have a question for clarification.
Thank you very much for your comments. Yes, Joe.
As Mr. Underwood said, this is within the sphere of Escondido. My map shows it's not within the sphere, so just a clarification point.
Yeah, you're correct. I believe Mr. Underwood was referencing it's within the general plan, planning area of the city of Escondido.
Okay.
Good question.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple, one or two questions maybe. So it was alluded to the fact that if we were to move forward with the staff recommendation today, that the special study area would have some type of fast track development opportunities. Can you address that?
Thank you, Commissioner Kate. Yes, so there was this phrase that Ms. Hunter mentioned that should the commission go forward with our proposed recommendation that we are deviating from the normal planning process, and that term fast track was used. So respectfully disagree. It is the practice and provided under policy that this commission establish special study areas when we do these type of studies, when we see areas that are in a planning process but not right at the moment when LAFCO goes to the dais for formal action. If we look back on the map for our friends at Rincon del Diablo and if it's possible, can we go back to looking at Rincon del Diablo? This commission just a few years ago established special study areas for Rincon, given there's these developments in the queue at the county. You have Faliano and you have South Harmony Grove. Again, the same policy merits that went into the commission deciding to create those study areas is the same thinking staff is applying with respect to Daly Ranch and Harvest Hill. So it is not fast tracking, it is in fact the normal established practice. And the only item of difference, but it's a material difference between establishing a special study area and not, as it relates for Daly and Harvest, is that they would need to then be subject to a brand new MSR document to be prepared should they come forward over the next 60 months. As we identified in the report, we believe that is not necessary given all of the reasons that we've been discussing over the last few meetings.
Thank you for that. And that would be just maybe a question for our council. Would I be correct in stating that a decision by this body that is based on whether we individually support or oppose the actual individual development process is probably not proper as well too, because we're not here to make comments on an individual development project, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. So despite anybody who may have preconceived feelings about whether or not they support a project at that location or not, I would hate to have the findings show or someone come forward and see this video saying that we supported or opposed this recommendation based on a potential future development plan that does not exist as of yet.
That's right. As the executive officer noted, it's really one about process and not about the details of a particular proposal, which is not before the commission today.
Perfect. I appreciate that. Thank you. And with that, Mr. Chair, I would move staff's recommendation on this.
I have a question.
Motion and a second, is that right?
Second.
Yeah, Joe second.
Joe has no question.
No, I have
Oh,
a
I'm sorry.
question.
Let's get a second on the motion. Barry, did you?
Yes,
second?
on
Thank you.
Okay, my question again is for clarification. The proposed study areas, they are outside the sphere of Escondido. Therefore, one, the process is that any development would come before the city of Escondido. It would be approved by the city of Escondido. And then it comes to LAFCO for review. And it would be a annexation and a sphere amendment coming before LAFCO. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the only difference is that they could come forward if they were approved by the city of Escondido next year without having to do an MSR.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And then, if you could just check with Michaela if we have any live email comments. And then Tammy, any other people on the Zoom?
There's a Jeff Hall. I'm not sure if he wants to speak. He's on Zoom.
Jeb, if you want to say something, now would be the time. Jeb is passed, so I think we have a motion by Commissioner Kate.
He was on mute.
Jeb?
Yeah, no, I think Don appropriately addressed our concerns. Thanks.
Very good. So Commissioner Vanderlyn, we have a motion made by Commissioner Kate, second by Commissioner Willis.
This is on alternative one.
Alternative one.
Okay. Any questions then on, before we take a vote? Seeing none, roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Commissioner Salas is absent. Commissioner Willis.
Aye.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Aye.
Commissioner McNamara is absent. Commissioner Kate.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderlyn.
Yes.
Commissioner Desmond is absent. Alternate Commissioner Becker.
Yes, on the process.
So we have 6 in favor, 0 opposed. With 3 absent, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have a business calendar.
Correct. Thank you, Commissioner Vanderlyn. So as I mentioned, 7A was our planned presentation of an action item for you to consider an annexation to the Rancho Santa Fe Community Services District. Everyone should have on the dais a copy of a letter submitted by, because now the name is blanking, but a local tribe, Rincon, thank you, tribe, asking for consultation. And this is a new process, consultation specific to the CEQA document that we prepared. So, given we have this request that we received on Friday afternoon, We are respectfully asking that the commission simply open this item just to double check to see if there's anyone either here in the room or perhaps providing email comments. And if not, well, then we will just simply ask for a motion to continue this item. And I don't think we need a roll call, just a successful motion to continue the item to our next meeting, which presumably will be now in February. So with that, if I can, on behalf of Commissioner Vanderland, Michaela, any written comments or email comments on 7A?
None.
And then anyone in the audience for 7A? I don't believe we, no, this is for 7C. So with that, it would be wonderful if we got a motion from the commission to continue this to the next meeting.
I will make that motion.
Second. Motion by Barry and a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, step right up. Motion and a second. All right, any discussion on the motion?
Just me,
I'm sorry,
just me.
just you, and that is Joe, go ahead.
Well, it says here in the initial study that there was no one that stepped forward, Native American tribes. And yet we have one, so I guess my question would be as to who was notified by whom, because it's always been my understanding working with the county that any type of grading or development requires consultation. So
all of the prospective responsible agencies were given a notice, the county, so on forth, the district, and this again is a new requirement as of 2021. A tribal resource center in Sacramento serves as a clearinghouse. They received our request. It gets sent out to all the local tribes in San Diego. Our request provided an opportunity for consultation or request for consultation up until today's hearing. Friday afternoon, after we had already sent out the report, there's the letter. So we're asking for a continuance.
okay, so none of the 18 tribes responded in a timely fashion, is what?
Well, I want to say timely. We were playing it tight with our own timeline. So before the commission took up the item, we did receive the letter.
Okay, I think continuing is a wise idea. Thank you.
Okay. Any more comments on that item? Okay.
If we could just do a formal all ayes, just for the record.
Vote on the continuance.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm sorry. No roll call, okay, aye.
No roll call. We all on board now? Okay.
Thank you.
All ayes? Okay, thank you, Ken.
I'm confused us.
I'm sorry, Joe.
I just said you confused us.
Are we all clear or not clear?
We're all
I'm
clear.
clear.
We're clear. I'm clear.
It's okay.
I'm good.
It's like
This is clear as
the
day.
grandfather in the Moonstruck movie. I'm so confused. Someone tell a joke. Anyway, moving along.
No, I thought you were talking about me, Andy.
No, not you.
All right, so thank you, Commissioner Vanderland. So our next item, now that we have proceeded with 7A on a continuance, I'm going to ask Priscilla Mumpower to provide a legislative report for the commission.
Thank you, Keem. So this is going to be a relatively quick presentation. We are, as part of a biannual check-in on legislative items that are of interest to the commission and its varied growth management interests. Just wanting to do a check-in on reviewing items as we close out the 2022 session, but then also begin the first year of the 2023 session. So as we close out 2022, it proved relatively quiet. There was though one bill, SB 938, which was a big win for LAFCOs and Cal-LAFCO, which substantively moves the needle on truing up protest thresholds. And then our very own Commissioner Joe McKenzie and Council Watley were a part of a group that worked for many years with Cal-LAFCO in bringing this item forward, and then it successfully passed. So congratulations to you too. But this SB 938 does true up the protest thresholds. It increases it from 10 to 25% for LAFCO initiated special district reorganizations, those being formations, dissolutions, and so forth. And then with respect to previewing items for the 2023 legislative session, CalAFCO continues to place high priority in 56133E, which seeks to clarify and make explicit LAFCO's authority in determining exemption eligibility and regulating out-of-agency service requests. This interest is made explicit through an CalAFCO white paper that was recently published. Excuse me. And this was a collaboration between San Diego LAFCO, Butte County LAFCO, and Ventura County LAFCO. So hopefully this generates some support as we look to bring this forward to Sacramento as an actual bill. But as you heard at our last meeting, CSDA is taking exception to this otherwise good governance effort, so more to come on that topic later. There are a few other items in the agenda report, but I will defer to Commissioner McKenzie, who's a CalAFCO board member, who might have other items that she'd like to brief you all on, but otherwise that is it for me. Thank you.
I think you hit on the two main substances of legislation of importance to LAFCO. And again, 56-133 is going to be a high and a tough lift. And then the question is too, is with as many new legislators that there are, is 2023 the year to proceed? In other words, there's always a learning curve for new legislators to understand what special districts are, which is an easier lift than trying to get them to understand what LAFCOs are. So we have that discussion, and concerning CSDA and their opposition, I think there's a happy medium in between, a give and take and an understanding of where they're coming from and them understanding what CalAFCO understands. And I think it'd be important that the rest of the commission, I have your white paper, I think it'd be important that all the new commissioners receive that, so that, it's a good read and they explain the problem that we're having. So I have no further comment, thank you.
What is a major resistance to this bill?
I think it's giving ultimate decision-making to the executive officer. In there's portions, I think it's 56-133E. It says something regarding, it gives you an outline of when you can and how you proceed in making the determinations. And then there's one section in there, unless so such authority is delegated by, to the executive officer. And as I've told Keene, I've been on the commission for a number of years, and before that sat as an alternate. And I don't remember that coming before the commission. So I think that's one of the issues to look at. CSDA is always looking out for the public, and that they have a recourse, and any developer or anyone coming in has a recourse back to the commission. So that's one of the main
So
issues.
it's all about giving too much authority to the local executive directors?
That's one of them, and then there's a couple other issues. I think we had a discussion on service versus function, but they're both defined in the Cortese, not Hertzberg, so I'm not exactly sure if that's really a stumbling block or not.
So is this a northern, southern California issue or no?
No.
Okay. All right, so what can we do to help you, Joe, with this heavy lift?
I think it's gonna play out both in the CalAFCO board meeting we have next week. The executive officer is, or actually she's the executive director, I think is the title. And I think her comment is, do we push this forward this year? Is 2023 the year to do the pushing? And we do have a new executive director, and maybe this is the year that we do a lot of PR. We get all of our ducks in line before we try to go out and find, an author. Because it goes to, once we do that, it goes to the stakeholders, and there's like 37 that you want to get the good majority of them on your side before they, start hammering at your legislation. It's easier to make minor amendments to a piece of legislation rather than having to basically rewrite it. So you want to have, you want to have some of them in your court when you go forward.
And some not, yeah.
And it doesn't sound like we have a whole lot at this point in time.
So there'll be a new administration moving forward at LAFCO?
No, I think there's only like 2 new board members, but we have a new executive officer
Okay.
or executive director. I forget her title. Their titles keep changing.
Excuse me.
So,
Bless you.
yeah, so she's on a learning curve too, but the advantage is that she is new and she is forging relationships with CSDA. Because remember, CSDA has the same constituents that we do.
Yeah. And you're on the CSDA board as well, right?
Yes.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for serving. It's been a long, hard pull and it's not over yet.
Oh, well, hopefully this isn't as long as the protest provision.
Could be though. Priscilla, thank you for the information. We appreciate that. Anything else on the legislative front?
Nope, you're good with just the check-in. Tammy, any people lined up?
None.
Any emails, Michaela?
None received.
So this was just for discussion. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So we have, as part of our amended agenda, we have 7C, and I'm going to ask Carol to provide a quick staff report, and I know we have a couple of speakers who would like to address the commission afterwards.
Good morning, everybody. It is wonderful to see majority of you here in person. A new addition to our agenda item 7C. Before you is a request we received from the Borrego Springs Fire Protection District with them looking to waive the fees associated with their recent proposal filing to dissolve and transfer responsibilities to the San Diego County Fire Protection District. Now, the total monetary value of the fee waiver is estimated at $24,563, with the assumption that an election is not required. Now, on this topic, I would like to point out that there is a possibility that a protest hearing could trigger an election, but staff does not believe this will likely occur. Now, as for the reference proposal application, it specifically requests the dissolution of Borrego Springs Fire Protection District and the designation of the San Diego County Fire Protection District to formally assume Borrego Springs Fire Protection District's fire protection and emergency medical services within the affected territory via a concurrent annexation. Now, given past practice to support fortifying fire services in the unincorporated areas, plus the status of the affected territory as a disadvantaged unincorporated community, staff recommends approving the full fee waiver along with authorizing a transfer of assigned monies in the fund balance. Now, this concludes my presentation, but I am open for any comments or questions. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions?
You said there were comments?
Yeah, comments as well?
No, comments from you. Okay.
Yes, right, got it. Thank you for that.
Sorry.
I think I have the message now, thank you. A little slow here at the dais. Okay, we do have some speakers on item 7C. Hanny Hong is our first one. Nice to see you back again.
He's still here.
Well, you all are doing very hard work. So good morning, folks. Again, Haney Hong, President and CEO of the San Diego County Taxpayers Association. Don't have a comment on the fee waiver. I just wanted to encourage the commission to continue to move this process along. The San Diego County Taxpayers Association, believe it or not, 2 years ago, we embarked on a study of a couple fire districts, Borrego Springs being one of those. And many of our fire districts are underwater financially, and the only way that they can continue to sustain their services, in fact, in Borrego Springs, the discussion was, do we consolidate or do we increase the parcel tax by 6x? And you can imagine how folks responded to that 6x increase in order to continue continue the services. So I encourage the commission to continue to move this process along. You have folks in Borrego Springs who are want the consolidation. They requested it, right? The county is on the record for being ready to receive, if you will. And I just encourage you to continue to move this process along. And the Taxpayers Association is going to continue to stand by and help your work here at the commission to try to create efficiencies and effectiveness in public services by thinking through some of the structural changes that are within your jurisdiction. Thank you. That's not me.
Too close. Okay, any other questions or comments here?
No.
Okay, we have one more speaker. Thank you, Ken, for reminding me. Oh, this is a familiar face. Jeff Collins, good to see you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Collins with County Fire. Let me first start off with the kudos to LAFCO as an organization, also the Commission. This process actually started over 20 years ago. And a couple of the commissioners, I think, were a part of this process. And it includes myself. You can notice with the gray hair, I've been a part of this as well. So there was a vision regarding fire service in our more rural areas. And there was 3 phases. First phase was the volunteer fire departments or fire companies. The second phase were the county service areas providing fire protection, and the third phase were the fire protection districts. So with Borrego, should this go through, Borrego would actually be the 20th agency that would have consolidated their fire service in the county fire. That's a pretty tremendous accomplishment. But LAFCO had the vision, the commission back then had the vision to pursue this. And it came to fruition. Of course, that took a significant investment by the County of San Diego, but it was the right thing to do. So we greatly appreciate your consideration of this fee waiver. We know with Borrego there will be an additional cost to the county, and we're prepared to move that forward to the Board of Supervisors to bear that cost. So we appreciate the assistance with the fee waiver. Should there be, although it's very unlikely, should there be an election that's triggered, the county would certainly participate in that cost. But this was approved by the Borrego Springs Fire Protection Board of Directors. There was a very well-attended community meeting with overwhelming support. We've heard no opposition from the community on this so far, but we welcome the process and look forward to when this does come back to the commission, hopefully early next year. So appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
I make a motion that we do go with recommendation to waive the fees.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Joel Anderson. Roll call vote, Tammy.
Sure.
Wait a minute, are there any questions or comments on the motion? None? Okay, go ahead, Tammy, roll call.
Commissioner Denson is absent. Commissioner Vanderland,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Kate,
Yes.
Commissioner McNamara is absent. Commissioner McKenzie,
Aye.
Commissioner Willis, Commissioner Salas is absent. Alternate Commissioner Decker,
Yes.
so that's 6 in favor, 0 opposed, with 3 absent. The motion passes.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Commissioner. Jeff, talk a little bit about the history. I'm kind of long in the tooth, so I was here back in what I would call the bare-fisted days of fire districts and volunteer fire departments and people rooted in the fact that there was no service, so they stepped up and provided it out of a garage or what have you, and you had firefighters and then process to paramedics, which we have now. It went from a lot of area in the outland, if you will, Borrego being one of those, having little or no service at all or all volunteer, and they've been up and down, and God love Borrego and the citizens out there. We've had some very colorful speakers from there. In fact, Harry Ehrlich, who used to be a consultant to the commission, lives out there now. I'm surprised we haven't gotten a comment from him, but I haven't seen Harry in a long time. Anyway.
He's in Iowa.
Pardon?
He's in Iowa.
He's in Iowa? Oh.
That's why I haven't heard him.
Good for him, I think. I don't think I'd want to be in Iowa, but anyway. It has been a long process, and we had great support from Chief Supervisors Hahn and Jacob. Otherwise, it's all about following the money. There wasn't enough money to go around. we used to come down to the county at least once a year to beg for money. We were in competition with the libraries and the flood folks, and unfortunately when we came down for money, it was flooding and raining, and so we didn't get what we thought we should get. But anyway, through a long process, a lot of people involved in the commission in particular, and also the county who's now invested, I forget the number of dollars is, but it's, how much is it now, do you remember, Jeff?
About 700 million since 2003.
700 million, which is quite a step from zero. So that and Borrego struggling and now wanting to get something else done there. This is a great move on the commission's part and on Borrego. And also with the little fiefdoms, even though they were meager and volunteering and doing all kinds of stuff, they didn't want to give up their territory. We had the sheriffs involved on one of the fire stations opening or closing, and so it's been a colorful time, and I certainly appreciated being here. So with that said, thank you, Commission. Thank you, Jeff. I know you've been involved on both sides of the street. You're the assistant for Supervisor Jacob, and now you're in the fire business, so thanks for being there as well. Thank you for the staff report. What do we have now?
Well, thank you, Commissioner Vanderland. So we are now at number 8, and so our accommodations. So every so often, we find ourselves having to say goodbye to a few of our commissioners, and today we say goodbye not only to Commissioner Kate, and thank you for attending, which is always an important part of the accommodation process, but also Commissioners Salas and McNamara, who, as I mentioned earlier, had unexpected events that took them away from us this morning. But we have literally a swag bag for Commissioner Kate as well as the other commissioners that Michaela was nice enough to put together. So you are walking away with something from LAFCO as you go on to your next adventures. But I did want to just comment from my own perspective. Despite looking young, I've been an EO for over 20 years now, not all here, but elsewhere. And I have to say that Commissioner Kate, Commissioner McNamara, and Commissioner Salas have all done themselves proud and have done LAFCO proud in their astuteness and good public service. And Commissioner Kate certainly won staff over, I don't know if you remember this, Chris, but when we first met, I'm always kind of curious as to how and what draw a commissioner to serve as a commissioner, and you pointed out that when you do your annual meeting with the mayor for committee assignments, you said, I want LAFCO to the mayor. And I said, that's the kind of effort and interest we need on the commission. I want LAFCO. So that endeared you to us. Again, we have a swag bag for you as you go on to other adventures, but from staff. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Mary, if you're listening, and thank you, Paul, for all your great service over the years. So with that, thank you, Commissioner Vanderland.
Okay, and thank you. When I look back on one of the longest serving commissioners when I was coming through the ranks here was a guy named John Sasso, who happened to be from Borrego Springs. He would drive in for every meeting from Borrego Springs. He would also drive into our special district meetings, and he was just a really super strong advocate for LAFCO, and really no one except for a few legislators knew what LAFCO was all about. And he was a pusher for that. His wife was rather ill. Sometimes she'd come, sometimes she wouldn't. But anyway, what I also thought about is that those of you who serve on the commission, however you get here, whether you volunteer or that you're the last one standing and you say that's you're going there, serving above and beyond the cause of your elected responsibilities, I think speaks well of where we are today and the focus that we need to have on where our county is going. LAFCO is that pressure point, if you will, that hopefully slows down the process, looks at both sides. Just one of the issues we talked about today with Palomar and Tri-City is one of the basic reasons why LAFCO is around, to look at those things, to help resolve disputes, but bottom line, to serve the public. In the same way I'm looking at whether there's a consolidation and annexation, how we're coming together, that is for the good of the public, not for special interests. And I think of all the governmental agencies that I'm aware of, LAFCO is probably the highest functioning of all of those, and one that allows us as commissioners to get closest to the action in terms of what plays out after we make a decision. And I think guided by our staffs, not just Keene, but others as well, I think we've done a pretty good job of that, and I think that's kind of echoed by the relationship that we built with our elected officials, especially our supervisors. And that whatever their bias may have been coming in got turned around as they saw how hard the staff worked, and that we were not waving in the wind by the pressure that's put on. In fact, at the last meeting, you may recall that our executive officer came under some pretty strong heat from some of the folks who have an issue coming before us. It takes a lot to stand up for that, especially to sit in a meeting and be belittled at the least by other people in the in the process. So, anyway, thank you, Chris, and we thank the others as well, Paul and Mary. And sorry that Paul didn't make it. I guess he's stuck on the freeway somewhere. So, with that said, our hearts go with you. Godspeed with where you're going and what you're doing, and you're out from under the 8-year blanket. So, go get them.
All right. So on to the executive officer report for just two things. On the pleasantries, we are going to be sending out a notice to the commission later today that we are putting together a Christmas holiday get-together next Monday, and I believe it'll be around between 12 and 3, but it also serves as an opportunity if any commissioner wants to stop by. We'd love to see you because of COVID and to a large degree, none of you have actually seen where we work Monday through Fridays. Well, some of you have, but it also provides an opportunity if you're in the Banker Hill area and wonder where does this LAFCO staff spend their time, you can check out the office as well. So we will send via Michaela a formal email announcement on that. And then separately, Adam Wilson, our lead consultant, and Priscilla Mumpower are doing great work in, moving a rather sizable boulder, at times uphill, known as the Fallbrook Rainbow Reorganization Proposal. A few months ago, we had anticipated the earliest we get it to you would be February of 23. Well, we are pretty confident now that the earliest we can get that to you would be March. So we're still making progress, but nevertheless, it is an undertaking. So just to revise that timeline. So other than that, we are good on my end.
Okay. Commissioner comments? I'm sorry.
There is parking, and I believe Tammy will make sure that we have some validations.
That's February 12th to 3.
It is a December,
December.
Yeah, so the get together at LAFCO's next, or 2 weeks from today, December 19th, 12 to 3. And then the anticipated earliest you would see Fallbrook and Rainbow is now March of 2023. Which parenthetically also helps out that we will have at least 3 new commissioners at our next meeting, so they don't have to jump right into that item as well.
So, in the March meeting, you may want to bring a go bag. It could be a long meeting.
I thought
Okay.
staff was providing lunch.
I'm sorry?
I thought staff was providing lunch.
We certainly can.
Yeah. I think Kane's going to pay for that out of his own pocket. We look forward to that. An executive meeting.
Breakfast and lunch.
Okay. Commissioner comments? Yes.
I just have a memo coming your way. One of the greatest delights in my district is the recreational use of our reservoirs. And I'd like to, in the letter, it's going to ask that we take a look at how that can best be managed and funded. And right now, the city of San Diego has the vast control of it, yet the residents of the county use it. And so perhaps looking at how that's managed would be appropriate. So thank you.
Thank you. That certainly comes under our purview. Any other questions? Yes, Joe.
No, I have a comment. I want to ask our executive officer if the Tri-City Palomar issue is going to be coming back for a decision up, down, sideways in our February meeting.
Thank you. So by way of policy, I am revisiting the item as we speak. I will provide the commission a notice of my determination if there's any revisions to my earlier determination. Under policy, it's provided to the commission as simply information, as notice. This is what I've decided. At that time, you can either affirmatively nod or provide me extra direction, but it is an EO decision, but I appreciate the heightened interest in the topic.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
So was that a yes, is coming back in February?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else for us? One comment I should have made earlier and I didn't make it. One of the other long-standing members of our commission is Harry Maphis, who's had quite a career with the city of San Diego and others. Very learned man. We're great to have a former naval officer, so it's nice to see someone else long in the tooth hanging in there.
Thank you.
Okay, with that said, do we need a closed session?
No.
No.
We're good to close.
Okay. Our next meeting is February the 6th, and as this one didn't end up in anarchy, we'll have it here as a face-to-face meeting. Thank you all for coming, and I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. I'm getting a lot of happy holidays. I don't like that. I prefer Merry Christmas. I was surprised that at Thanksgiving, I'm used to saying Thanksgiving, and what I was getting was Happy Holidays. I thought that was reserved for Christmas, but oh well, anyway. Great to see you. Travel safely. I guess we're gonna get some rain sometime, I'm not sure when. And all of our wandering ministers should be back for February. Okay, that's it. Anything else? God bless you all. Have a great Christmas.
Have a Merry Christmas to you, Andy.
See you later.
Well done.
Thanks for putting up with me.
Well, you did good stepping in.